Message, Wistable blad vonators system U. Exception, generic technical exception message equals com va.server rpc manager $rpc invocation exception, unable to invoke method click in com va.shared.ui.button server rpc, message parameters equals. Direct exception cause, com va.server rpc manager $rpc invocation exception, unable to invoke method click in com va.shared.ui.button server rpc. User, org-admin at test.pl. Date, July 26, 2016 09:4638.225. Stacktrace. Generic technical exception message equals com va.server rpc manager $rpc invocation exception, unable to invoke method click in com va.shared.ui.button server rpc, message parameters equals. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.app exception.default application exception resolver.resolve exception, default application exception resolver.java 30. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.app exception.chain application exception resolver.resolve exception, chain application exception resolver.java 35. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.app UI.exception.va.and global error handler.resolve application exception, va.and global error handler.java 146. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.app UI.exception.va.and global error handler.error, va.and global error handler.java 135. At com va.and.server.legacy communication manager.handle connector relic exception, legacy communication manager.java 410. At com va.and.server.communication.server rpc handler.handle invocations, server rpc handler.java 411. At com va.and.server.communication.server rpc handler.handle rpc, server rpc handler.java 273. At com va.and.server.communication.doable request handler.synchronized handler request, doable request handler.java 79. At com va.and.server.synchronized request handler.handle request, synchronized request handler.java 41. At com va.and.server.va.and-service.handle request, va.and-service.java 1409. At com va.and.cdi.server.va.and-desertful service.handle request, va.and-desertful service.java 92. At com va.and.server.va.and-servflay.service, va.and-servflay.java 364. At javax.servflay.http.http servflay.service, http servflay.java 847. At org.apache.catalina.core.application filter chain.internal do filter, application filter chain.java 295. At org.apache.catalina.core.application filter chain.do filter, application filter chain.java 214. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 316. At org.springframework.security.web.access.intercept.filter security interceptor.invoke, filter security interceptor.java 126. At org.springframework.security.web.access.intercept.filter security interceptor.do filter, filter security interceptor.java 90. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.access.exception translation filter.do filter, exception translation filter.java 114. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.session management filter.do filter, session management filter.java 122. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.authentication.anonymous authentication filter.do filter, anonymous authentication filter.java 111. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.servletapi.security context holder aware request filter.do filter, security context holder aware request filter.java 169. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.savedrequest.request cache aware filter.do filter, request cache aware filter.java 48. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.authentication.abstract authentication processing filter.do filter, abstract authentication processing filter.java 205. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.authentication.logout.logout filter.do filter, logout filter.java 120. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.header writer filter.do filter internal, header writer filter.java 64. At org.springframework.web.filter.once per request filter.do filter, once per request filter.java 107. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.context.request.async web async manager integration filter.do filter internal, web async manager integration filter.java 53. At org.springframework.web.filter.once per request filter.do filter, once per request filter.java 107. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.context.security context persistence filter.do filter, security context persistence filter.java 91. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.appui.server.session.session timeout filter.do filter, session timeout filter.java 57. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.web.filter.request context filter.do filter internal, request context filter.java 99. At org.springframework.web.filter.once per request filter.do filter, once per request filter.java 107. At org.springframework.security.web filter chain proxy $virtual filter chain.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 330. At org.springframework.security.web.filter chain proxy.do filter internal, filter chain proxy.java 213. At org.springframework.security.web.filter chain proxy.do filter, filter chain proxy.java 176. At org.springframework.web.filter.delegating filter proxy.invoke delegate, delegating filter proxy.java 346. At org.springframework.web.filter.delegating filter proxy.do filter, delegating filter proxy.java 262. At org.apache.catalina.core.application filter chain.internal do filter, application filter chain.java 246. At org.apache.catalina.core.application filter chain.do filter, application filter chain.java 214. At org.apache.catalina.core.standard-wrapper-valve.invoke, standard-wrapper-valve.java 231. At org.apache.catalina.core.standard-context-valve.invoke, standard-context-valve.java 149. At org.jboss.s.jpa.interceptor.web-non-txm-closer-valve.invoke, web-non-txm-closer-valve.java 50. At org.jboss.s.jpa.interceptor.web-non-txm-closer-valve.invoke, web-non-txm-closer-valve.java 50. At org.jboss.s.web.security.security-context-association-valve.invoke, security-context-association-valve.java 169. At org.apache.catalina.core.standard-host-valve.invoke, standard-host-valve.java 150. At org.apache.catalina.valves.error-report-valve.invoke, error-report-valve.java 97. At org.apache.catalina.core.standard-engine-valve.invoke, standard-engine-valve.java 102. At org.apache.catalina.connector.coyote-adapter.service, coyote-adapter.java 344. At org.apache.coyote.http11.http11processor.process, http11processor.java 854. At org.apache.coyote.http11.http11 protocol$http11 connection handler.process, http11 protocol.java 654. At org.apache.tomcat.utility.net geoendpoint$worker.run, geoendpoint.java 926. At java.lang.thread.run, thread.java 745. Caused by com.va.aden.server server RPC manager $RPC invocation exception, unable to invoke method click in com.va.aden.shared.ui.button server RPC. At com.va.aden.server RPC manager.apply invocation, server RPC manager.java 160. At com.va.aden.server RPC manager.apply invocation, server RPC manager.java 118. At com.va.aden.server.communication.server RPC handler.handle invocations, server RPC handler.java 408. 59 more. Caused by java.lang.reflect.invocation target exception. At Sunday reflect.native method accessor impl.invoke 0, native method. At Sunday reflect.native method accessor impl.invoke, native method accessor impl.java 62. At Sunday reflect.delegating method accessor impl.invoke, delegating method accessor impl.java 43. At java.lang.reflect.method.invoke, method.java 498. At com.va.aden.server RPC manager.apply invocation, server RPC manager.java 158. 61 more. Caused by com.va.aden.event.listener method $method exception, invocation of method button click in eu.rivetgroup.intome.appui.organization management user details form $lambda $87/172577405 failed. At com.va.aden.event.listener method.receive event, listener method.java 528. At com.va.aden.event.eventRouter.fire event, eventRouter.java 198. At com.va.aden.event.eventRouter.fire event, eventRouter.java 161. At com.va.aden.server.abstractClientConnector.fire event, abstractClientConnector.java 1008. At com.va.aden.ui.button.fire click, button.java 377. At com.va.aden.ui.button$1.click, button.java 54. 66 more. Caused by javax.ejb exception, java.lang.illegal argument exception, user already exists. At org.jboss.s.ejb3.tx.consinterceptor.handle exception inerts, consinterceptor.java 190. At org.jboss.s.ejb3.tx.consinterceptor.invoke inerts, consinterceptor.java 280. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.tx.consinterceptor.required, consinterceptor.java 330. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.tx.consinterceptor.process_invocation, consinterceptor.java 242. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor.context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.interceptors.current_invocation.context_interceptor.process_invocation, current invocation context interceptor.java 41. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.invocation metrics.waittime interceptor.process_invocation, waittime interceptor.java 43. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.security context interceptor.process_invocation, security context interceptor.java 89. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.interceptors.shutdown interceptor factory $1.process_invocation, shutdown interceptor factory.java 64. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.interceptors.logging interceptor.process_invocation, logging interceptor.java 59. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.namespace context interceptor.process_invocation, namespace context interceptor.java 50. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.interceptors.additional setup interceptor.process_invocation, additional setup interceptor.java 55. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.tccl interceptor.process_invocation, tccl interceptor.java 45. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.chained_interceptor.process_invocation, chained interceptor.java 61. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.viewService$view.invoke, viewService.java 185. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.viewDescription$1.process_invocation, viewDescription.java 185. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor.context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.chained interceptor.process_invocation, chained interceptor.java 61. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.proxy_invocation-handler.invoke, proxy-invocation-handler.java 73. At eu.rivetgroup.intome.appvmorganization.userprofile.service.organization user registration service $view 235. Create organization user account, unknown source. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke 0, native method. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke, native method accessor impl.java 62. At sundayreflect.delegating method accessor impl.invoke, delegating method accessor impl.java 43. At java.lang.reflect.method.invoke, method.java 498. At org.jboss.weld.utilityReflection.secureReflections $13.work, secureReflections.java 267. At org.jboss.weld.utilityReflection.secureReflectionAccess.run, secureReflectionAccess.java 52. At org.jboss.weld.utility-reflection.secure-reflection-access.runas invocation, secure-reflection-access.java 137. At org.jboss.weld.utility-reflection.secure-reflections.invoke, secure-reflections.java 263. At org.jboss.weld.bean.proxy.enterprise-bean-proxy method handler.invoke, enterprise-bean-proxy method handler.java 115. At org.jboss.weld.bean.proxy.enterprise-target-bean-instance.invoke, enterprise-target-bean-instance.java 56. At org.jboss.weld.bean.proxy.proxy method handler.invoke, proxy method handler.java 105. At eu.rivetgroup.intimate.appbmorganization.userprofile.service.impl.organization user registration service $695439692 proxy $_weld proxy $.create organization user account organization user registration service $695439692 proxy $_weld proxy $.java. At eu.rivetgroup.intime.appui.organization organization management user details form $edit mode fields holder.com attend save changes, organization management user details form .java 276. At eu.rivetgroup.intime.appui.organization organization management user details form $edit mode fields holder.access $1600, organization management user details form .java 230. At eu.rivetgroup.intime.appui.organization management user details form .submit changes, organization management user details form .java 177. At eu.rivetgroup.intime.appui.organization organization management user details form .lambda $initialize component $61446b05 $3, organization management user details form .java 117. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke 0, native method. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke, native method accessor impl.java 62. At sundayreflect.delegating method accessor impl.invoke, delegating method accessor impl.java 43. At java.lang.reflect.method.invoke, method.java 498. At convaadn.event.listener method.receive event, listener method.java 508. 71 more. Caused by java.lang.illegal argument exception, user already exists. At eu.rivetgroup.intime.appbmorganization.userprofile.service.impl.organization user registration service impl.create organization user account, organization user registration service impl.java 66. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke 0, native method. At sundayreflect.native method accessor impl.invoke, native method accessor impl.java 62. At sundayreflect.delegating method accessor impl.invoke, delegating method accessor impl.java 43. At java.lang.reflect.method.invoke, method.java 498. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.managed-reference-method-interceptor.process-invocation, managed-reference-method-interceptor.java 52. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor-context.proceed, interceptor-context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.weaved-interceptor.process-invocation, weaved-interceptor.java 53. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.interceptors.user-interceptor-factory $1.process-invocation, user-interceptor-factory.java 63. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor-context.proceed, interceptor-context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation-interceptor-context$invocation.proceed, interceptor-context.java 374. At org.jboss.as.weld.ejb.jsr299 bindings interceptor.do-method interception, JSR299 bindings interceptor.java 86. At org.jboss.as.weld.ejb.jsr299 bindings interceptor.process invocation, JSR299 bindings interceptor.java 97. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.interceptors.user interceptor factory $1. Process invocation, user interceptor factory.java 63. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.weaved interceptor.process invocation, weaved interceptor.java 53. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.interceptors.user interceptor factory $1. Process invocation, user interceptor factory.java 63. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.invocation metrics.execution time interceptor.process invocation, execution time interceptor.java 43. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.jpa.interceptor.spinvocation interceptor.process invocation, spinvocation interceptor.java 47. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.weld.ejb.ejb request scope activation interceptor.process invocation, EJB request scope activation interceptor.java 73. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.initial interceptor.process invocation, initial interceptor.java 21. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.invocation.chained interceptor.process invocation, chained interceptor.java 61. At org.jboss.as.ee.component.interceptors.component dispatcher interceptor.process invocation, component dispatcher interceptor.java 53. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.component.pooled instance interceptor.process invocation, pooled instance interceptor.java 51. At org.jboss.invocation.interceptor context.proceed, interceptor context.java 288. At org.jboss.as.ejb3.tx.comsinterceptor.invoke comsinterceptor.java 278. 118 more.